Well, it's a great new addition. It's got a little more challenge to it than the first leg, the Dune Climb to Glen Arbor leg, because there's more terrain there. There's some hills that we had to overcome. Um, the MDOT engineers built it to the standards for accessibility. It's got landings on the steepest parts, and all the grades are signed to let people know as they're approaching. But it's definitely a beautiful stretch.
We're about to bike. There goes a deer. We're about to bike the new leg of the Sleeping Bear Heritage Trail, leaving the Dune Climb, heading toward Empire. It's a 5.5-mile jaunt here. The Heritage Trail opened 2 years ago with Phase 1, hi there, which ran from near Glen Arbor to the Dune Climb, a 4.5-mile stretch, relatively flat, moderate biking, beautiful, deer along the trail. The last 2 years, the Friends of Sleeping Bear nonprofit have groomed the trail in the wintertime for cross-country skiing, both classic and skate. Now, just this week, here in mid-June, Phase 2 of the Heritage Trail is complete, paved.
People have said it's beautiful. People have gone out of their way to comment to us that they really like the new segment. A couple people called and said, "Well, there's some hills in there," and others who said, "Wow, this is great. There's some hills in there," because I think that's what some people missed on the other segment. But I think that's one of the beauties of this trail is, especially once the other segments are built, there's going to be pieces for everybody to enjoy and many places to access it. And so whatever kind of a ride you're in the mood for.
The Heritage Trail also runs right by sweet little Duneswood Resort.
What is this trail meant for Duneswood?
It's meant my dream come true. Park your car and ride your bike in the park. It really is going to get me and people out into the nature where you can feel it and touch it. Bikers, runners, walkers, old people with like those walking sticks, people pulling dogs and kids and every kind of bike and vehicle, self-propelled thing you can imagine. People, they come and they say, "Well, let me see your motel," or they wave, or they stop and they say, "Why do you have a Polish flag? What's this here?" And it's wonderful. The gay flag is our history. For the past 1992 to 2011, we were strictly women. And the Polish flag is our present. I've rediscovered that, I have Polish relatives, and I went to Poland, and I just fell in love with the country, flew the flag, and now all sorts of Polish people are coming here.
The Heritage Trail winds its way through sunny spots and clearings next to M109, and also deep into the dark woods. These forests, just a couple stones throws inland, Lake Michigan and the dunes. It's beautiful, I think. The thing about this leg of the trail, unlike leg 1, there are some pretty gnarly hills. Hold on, I got a downshift. Some pretty steep grades. And when you're heading from the Dune Climb toward Empire, be ready for them.
That said, I think it's negotiable for most folks, and there's already some people who have walked their bikes up some hills. But if you bike in Leelanau County, you're already used to that, walking your bike up some hills. So I think people are going to use it to get around, to get from the scenic drive to the Dune Climb, Empire to Glen Arbor, and be able to use it to get to where they're going in the park and to those two villages.
I noticed Beta sent out a press release that it sounds like they'll be providing buses to bring people from Traverse City out here with their bikes. If you could talk about that for a second.
Yeah, they called me and I spoke with them. They're expanding their bike and ride program where they will put the bike on their bus and bring you out to the communities out here, but also to stops on the Heritage Trail. So we're envisioning that that's going to only help us achieve our goal of having this be a meaningful way to get around inside the park, because then that's even, right now it's already that people park their car and use the trail so that car isn't up and out again 3 more times. But if people use the bus to get out here, that's even better, because then that car never does come.
If you like driving in a car or a plane or a train or a boat, you don't hear the whispering stories the trees tell. No cars here, it says. On a bike or walking, nature tells its story. You're going just slow enough to hear it. Uh-oh, here comes a hill. Let's downshift.
It really opens up the park to a new user group. You know, people who are looking for a place that has great biking opportunities. You know, the Leelanau County's always had the fantastic scenery and people bike on the roads here. But the Heritage Trail adds something a little different. You don't have to bike, you know, looking over your shoulder. You don't have to bike worried about, you know, oh, this road's getting narrow, the shoulder's bad, is there a car coming up on me? You can bike and really enjoy it, really get out into parts of the park that otherwise you might not have done. The next 2 springs, in 2015 and 2016, a new segment will be added each year. In 2015, the segment from north of Glen Arbor up to Port Oneida. So from the Crystal River launch site all the way up to Port Oneida Road, and then in 2016 from Port Oneida Road up to Bohemian Road, County Road 669. Those will be added sort of on the same time frame that this one was. Work to begin in the spring, be completed, you know, early in the summer.
I am just so happy the trail is here because it gets people closer to the nature and closer to feeling it out of their cars and into the woods.
Whew. I wouldn't do that after a bacon cheeseburger and a couple pints at Arts, but it tastes good certainly right afterwards. This trail takes you right by Pierce Stocking Scenic Drive, along M109. Suddenly this turn into the forest, a little rise followed by a little dip, followed by a little rise again, and then a 9% grade. Let's coast.
The routes are going to be a little flatter. This leg just completed is definitely going to be the hilliest piece. Just north of the homestead, there's the Bayview Trail, and the route will be placed on the Bayview Trail. And there's a little bit of terrain on that, not too much. And then actually from from Port Oneida Road to 669, that'll be a fairly flat stretch. That really is very flat as you go through Port Oneida there in front of some of the historic farms. That's really a flat stretch.
Just around this bend, M109, we'll meet 22, we'll coast down and then turn west toward Empire, toward this immaculate beach. Here's some friends on your left. Thank you. These downhill coasts make those hill climbs worth it. Worth every leg pump, every gasp of breath. Let's coast. Let's coast westward as we watch the sun paint shadows over the northern Michigan forest. Let's coast into the setting sun. Maybe if we're lucky we'll have a dip at Empire Beach into Lake Michigan's holy, still cold, but mortal waters. we coast west down the Heritage Trail. We come across friends running, biking, hiking, looking for morel mushrooms. Maybe asparagus still poking out of their teeth from the Asparagus Festival. Oh, look at that lovely barn. 1955 red barn, American flag, the Heritage Trail. As we coast westward. And then descend again into the forest's canopy. They were right when they called this the most beautiful place in America. But what they got wrong was this. They tried to call it beautiful by television standards. They tried to capture that beauty inside a little high-definition tool and then project it onto a high-definition television, a flat screen in someone's penthouse in Los Angeles. They were right about this place being beautiful, but you have to come here to see it. You have to come here and coast down this Heritage Trail to really understand why this place is beautiful. Maybe not the most beautiful place in America. We're not going for superlatives here. We don't need to be the most best, but it is beautiful. It is beautiful. I can see the sun setting. Let's emerge from the forest, crest a little rise, heading west-southwest. Let's come across a field